By God almighty, what the hell did the Flyers produce? And what the hell did they just unleash onto the public? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live from the Real Talk Studios right here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. I'm Matt Tsutsudi. That's the Darkwing right over there, Brian Daly. And right here is the Penguin lover himself, Michael Klankoff.
What up?
Behind the boards, once again, is Mr. Ryan Brodo.
Hello.
Wearing his Fenway Park Green Monster t-shirt.
Did not get that at Yankee Stadium.
No. Well,
Surprised.
yeah,
Honestly,
that is
surprised to hear
surprising. Yeah.
Surprised as well.
I thought you can get anything at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, because I
Apparently
know,
not.
I know anytime I would go into a rival stadium, I expect to see my merchandise there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on now. That's just being fair.
I was highly disappointed.
Oh, well.
Shit.
Damn it, Yankees. It ain't bad enough. You already bought thousands of World Series. You can't even sell your rivals' merchandise in your stands. Typical.
Disgrace.
Typical. Anyway,
Jerks.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour. And we are brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. Gentlemen, are you ready to talk some hockey?
Always.
I am, but I'm having technical difficulties over here.
Why?
And what technical difficulties are you having there, Brian?
I swear it's not my fault.
It's not your fault.
Okay.
Absolutely. No. Why would
We
it
got that confirmed.
No, my Wi-Fi, my data, my whatever it is that I use doesn't want to work.
Your G's.
Jerk.
The G's.
What do you need, Brian? You need the chat? You need the...
I got the chat.
Okay. You need the
Yeah,
groups?
he's got
What do
the
you need?
chat. No, I'm trying to.
Yeah. We've had some interesting issues today.
We're trying to share to the
Yeah.
Facebook
I
page.
got you.
Yeah,
I
my,
got you.
my laptop's
Thanks,
had
brother.
some problems too, so I know your pain.
I'll let
I
the
know
people
your
know.
I
pain.
got you. I mean,
Ah.
we got our usuals right now. We got Rosca coming in saying hello. Tom Arnoon, let's go Flyers. Also saying what's up, boys? Have a good show or great show, fam.
Hell
and
yeah.
then Rosca comes back and says, "What's up, boys? I'm ready for the NHL season." As all three of
Yes,
us and
we
Bruno are.
Very
By the
ready.
way, gentlemen,
So-
guess what? Next week, guess what day we do the show on Thursday?
Oh,
Guess
shit.
who's starting the season on Thursday?
I'm hoping.
Vegas and the Flyers, right?
I was
Yes,
gonna say, I
sir.
hope it's at least the Flyers, so we could have like a play-by-play.
Oh, don't worry, we will. All right, come hell or high water, we
Those
are
are my
going to
favorite
have
shows.
this.
The live reactions.
The live reaction shows. They're my favorite.
What up,
Yes.
Pops?
Hey, Papa Klinkoff.
Papa Klinkoff, what up?
And I'll tell you guys, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. I'm so amped. And then I saw Gritty. And then everything fucking changed. I
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck just happened? Seriously.
Hey, listen.
Whew. You ever,
Listen.
you ever woke up and you blacked out and you don't remember what the hell happened from the night before? I'm not saying like blackout drunk. I'm just saying blacked out in general. It doesn't have to necessarily be a drunk blackout. But you wake up the next day and you wonder, what the fuck did I do? I think that's what happened with the mascot department when they decided to put Gritty together and they just sent him the fuck in and they rolled with it. Seriously.
It's like they just rolled something in a bunch of orange feathers and called it a mascot.
Feather.
Whatever.
Not even feathers. That would say it's like related to the Fanatic. No, this has got fur on it. It's a totally
I don't
different
know.
thing. Hell, I even think if it was related to the Fanatic,
The
the Fanatic
things-
would deny
Yeah.
that he's a part of the family tree.
Deny, deny, deny. He is not mine.
Oh,
I
my
do
Lord.
think, though, that Jake Voracek and Animal from the Muppets had a little romantic rendezvous, and 9 months later,
Ah.
Or
we
is
have
it
Gritty.
Drew?
Well, hold on. Well, then who was – so Animal was carrying Gritty this whole time?
yeah.
Possibly.
Oh, then that explains it. That explains – he has his eyes. He really does. It has the
He
same –
has his head, too.
Yeah, he does.
He has the head shape and everything.
So every time Animal says "woman," we know who he's talking about. He's not talking about a woman. He's talking about Jake Voracek.
Talking about Jake.
There we go. So now we know what Jake the Snake means. Anyway, so with that being said, despite Gritty being unleashed on the masses, the Flyers preseason continued forward. Unfortunately, they suffered a loss 4-2 tonight to the New York Rangers.
Aw.
However, though, it is preseason, so it's
preseason.
nothing to get all beat up about. Although Ivan Provorov did score a goal,
Yes.
so did JVR. So I'm like, good. They're getting into the swing of things. That's a good sign right there. I think half the contributing factor to why the goals kind of went the way they went was Stoley was in net, and I think his injury is he's still recovering from it.
Yeah.
That he had suffered through this past season, which hopefully doesn't hold him back moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Roscoe comes in again and says, let's talk about all hockey. Whales are back. I wish they should be back in Hartford as an expansion. Well, they're already the Carolina Hurricanes, so
I mean, they could do something along the lines of what they did with Winnipeg, but I doubt that. But I do like the idea that the Hurricanes are bringing back the Whalers jersey for 2 games.
I like it. I like
This
it a
year.
lot. Those jerseys are dope.
I don't think Carolina Whalers though would have the same ring to it.
Yeah.
As
No, I don't think so.
As the Hartford Whalers did.
No, definitely not.
They should have like the old logo from the WHA where they just had a whale and then ERS at the end of the whale. ERS.
Whale
Like,
Ers.
Well,
Like the 76 Ers. 49 Ers. I like it. I like where your head's at.
yeah, you know where I'm going.
Yeah, I got a couple more coming in. We got the Pove chiming in saying, let's go Flyers. My dad coming in also saying, let's go Penguins. So there's a battle right there.
Well, that is what the Twitter poll question's all about
Yeah.
because we are here to debate who will win the Metropolitan Division. We are going to give
Absolutely.
our season preview. We saved the best for last, so you might as well save it for the hometown division. And the choices are the Philadelphia Flyers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Washington Capitals, or other. And the only reason why the Flyers and the Penguins are in there is because of, these two schmucks right
Yeah,
here.
pretty
But,
much.
so
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I got a couple more coming in. Pove coming in again saying Gritty is scary AF.
yes, he
Saw,
is.
saw him when they unveiled him on Monday, and he's got like the head exploding emoji.
Oh, God.
Roscoe also, I may have missed a comment, but he's agreeing with somebody. I'm assuming it's Vespi because I saw him come in the chat. Says, I agree with you. Thornton does suck balls like crap. He should be in Anaheim. That makes absolute sense
no.
there, Roscoe. I like where your head's at. He
All right, so
does suck
I do.
balls. He should be in Anaheim.
He sucks balls because he's not in Anaheim.
Is that why?
It's kind of like the
So-
situation with Sidney Crosby. Everybody hates Sidney,
It's
but if
because
he
he's-
played for their
yeah.
team.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
actually got the comment. I actually got my Facebook Live
Okay.
going, so
Oh,
we're good
awesome.
for
Oh,
the next 5 minutes.
Yes, we're good.
yeah,
So
I
for
jumped
for,
out
the,
real
for the
quick.
next 5 minutes at least.
Okay.
So
5 minutes of
Vespi's
bliss.
original comment was, "Hey yo, sorry to bother you at work.
He
Something
always says that.
something. Caps take the division. Something. Also, Joe Thornton sucks."
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
Yeah.
original comment. That's what Roscoe's.
Yeah, I like what Tom said about Thompson. He's Thompson's a little bit out there. To say that they're a favorite in the East this year is.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry,
With that.
they're. I mean, considering how bad the East is, real quick in the NBA, they may be an 8th seed, but anything better than that.
I have no
I don't
idea.
think Kevin Love is
what
gonna
you-
do shit for that team. So
I have no idea what you're talking
it's
about.
okay.
But
That's
anyway.
why I said real
It's all right.
quick. So
I don't either. So don't feel too bad.
What? You don't know, Brodo? Come on, you follow all 4
I'm
sports.
staying out of this.
Oh.
we don't need to get into the conversation.
Don't worry.
of it.
Why do you think I put my headset down?
Hey,
If
hey.
I have it on, we're going somewhere.
Well, yeah, but you're just gonna yell off mic and then put your headset on just to remind everybody that you're back. Feel free to check out Lazy Booking after this show to see what I refer to on that one. But anyway, so with that, the Metropolitan Division, lots to talk about. We got the Flyers and Penguins rivals, respectively, to talk
Big
about
time,
and
big
see
time.
where they will wind up. And here, let me get my water bottles out of the way so we stop having these wire issues. Down
Yeah, I
here.
just don't want to knock him over.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
That is, water and electronics do
Ne-
not mix. Just so
next-
you guys know.
Next thing you know, it's just like, yeah, let's talk about the Metro. Like,
Let's talk about the. What is he saying?
But it sounds good, and it's like
No
that's
one
when
knows.
like, the biggest intense
Yeah, right?
conversation
It's like the
happens.
Best
and only the
points,
people,
ever, and everyone's like, "Ah!"
it's like that moment.
What?
It's like Brian even has like that moment of self-discovery. He figures out a way to end world hunger, or he figures out a cure for
Right?
cancer, and no one knows it because you and me can't even hear
Yeah.
him. It's just
They
like,
can't even. Well, Instagram might be able to hear
Instagram,
me.
yeah, that's the only people that
Instagram
can
maybe,
hear.
but who the hell's watching?
If you hear us cut out, go right to Instagram. You'll be able to hear us.
Yes. All right. So, Why don't we get started, gentlemen, with the Metropolitan Division breakdown? I don't even know why I'm still holding those.
That's all right.
Anyway.
Just have it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
My ADD's kicking in. Anyway, the Metropolitan Division. We can go from worst to first as we've been doing for all the other three divisions that we have gone through so far. And my number 8,
I'll agree with you.
Wait, who?
With him, I don't know.
We're looking at me.
I was like,
I know.
what the
I'll
hell?
agree with you. What did I say?
Oh,
That's what made it fun.
yeah. That was totally comedic setup, I think. Anyway, the New York Islanders
Okay, I
is
don't
who
agree
I've
with
got at number
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I-
got Carolina.
I mean, Carolina
See,
is down there at the
I was
bottom.
right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I was looking at you.
I gotta have Carolina. I'm sorry. Like the Hurricanes have completely sold off.
Yeah.
They have.
No more Cam Ward. Justin Williams is their veteran leader, and then Jeff Skinner's gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Jordan
Really?
Stahl's not the Jordan Stahl he was when he went there.
No. All they really have
It's
is
the
Falk
same-
They got rid of the.
and
They got rid of.
Aho, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, Sebastian Aho is
He's
going to
great.
be. He's
a
going to be a
great
good.
player.
Good asset, but-
Absolutely.
It's kind of the same debate with Vancouver and Arizona. We pretty much know that these two teams are
gonna fight
going
for
to
the
be
bottom.
at
Yeah.
the bottom. It really
Absolutely.
doesn't matter what order we have them in. We know they're going to be somewhere down that
Yeah,
range.
They're definitely going to be.
Uh,
I mean, I do like the fact they brought in Dougie Hamilton. I don't like the fact they gave up on Noah Hannafin already and Elias Lindholm.
Watch
Yeah.
that come back to bite them in the ass.
It absolutely is going to. I just think that move alone is going to hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is going to hurt them big time. And like you said, they lost a lot of veterans, especially on the defense.
Mhm.
And you know, and they lost their best goal scorer and their goalie for the last 14, 15 years, however many years Cam Ward has been there now. So it's just, to me, the team has been depleted, and they're the most. I'm trying to think of a word here, but they're the most incomplete of the teams
Agreed.
in the Metro.
Very much agreed. And it's a shame because I personally thought they were heading in the right direction.
Yeah,
And
and
now
they were. I mean, they were on the cusp of being a playoff team last year.
And now they sell off most of their primary assets. Like,
Yeah.
I
why?
think-
Why?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I think their coach also bailed on them, too, on top of it.
yeah, he's
so-
in Calgary now.
Yeah, so on top of it, too, it pretty much just seems like their coach left, and I guess the front office must have taken that as a sign of, like, okay, then we might as well say fuck
Yeah.
it. And
I
pretty
just-
much that's what they
everybody else
did,
to leave,
yeah.
It just doesn't make, to me, it doesn't make any sense because, like I said, this team was on the
Well-
way up, and now
Well, now that we bring that
all
up,
these moves have happened.
well, maybe they are planning on selling them back up to Hartford. It's a fire sale. They're going out of business.
Well, I mean,
They still have the talent there. They still have some talent there. Sebastian Aho, they have
They're-
Justin Williams,
yeah.
Mr. Game 7, and they still have Justin Falk and Dougie
Well,
Hamilton
it's
on
a
defense.
shame they
Yeah.
won't be able to use him for
Yeah.
Game 7, but
yeah, Justin Williams gets to go
Yeah.
back to a team he was originally on. He actually won
the
a cup with
yeah.
them.
Was it
originally.
2004?
I thought originally he was a flyer.
4, 6?
No, he was a Flyer, and then
4.
he went
No,
to
6.
Carolina, and it
Right.
was the year after the lockout when Carolina won the cup because that was Edmonton went that year
That was
to the final.
2006, right?
2006,
2006, yeah, because
Six, yeah.
2005 there was no season. Yeah, because they actually beat the Ducks to get there, shockingly, because no one actually expected them to do it. Hey, don't feel bad. They didn't win. They lost.
Sorry, we got one the next year. So
Yeah,
that's all
so it
good.
doesn't matter. You
There
made
you
up
go.
for it.
And then we lost one the following year. And then we won,
Well,
if that counts.
and
Yeah,
then
and
we
then-
went on a streak.
And then I
a
lost.
good streak.
Never got back.
That's pretty impressive.
And
We had
then
a
we
streak
lost
of
Game 7,
4
Game
straight
7, Game
Stanley
7,
Cups
Game
between
7,
our
Game
teams.
7, Game 7, Game 7, Game 7.
Oh, wow. I
We
just
lost
reali-
like 12 in a row.
Yeah, I just realized something. Isn't it kind of funny? 2007, 2008, and 2009, 2010, all of our teams made the Stanley Cup final.
Mhm.
That's kind of weird. I just realized that.
That is weird.
And our teams won.
Yeah, anyway. All right.
That's
so,
why we sit on this side.
Yeah.
Champions sit on this side.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just waiting for the day the Flyers win the cup, and I'm just going to look at you two and be like, uh-huh, I'll remember.
Hey,
I'll
listen.
remember.
He said one day.
Bright side, one
so-
day. Bright side. Right now, you're not going to have more than him. But you have more than me. But mine was in my lifetime, so.
Uh-huh.
I'm happy I got to see 3 so far.
Well, enjoy that because once the Flyers win that cup, you're not going to be able to say that after that. But anyway.
Until then, we will.
That'd be
Yes, we
hilarious.
will.
We will
Hey,
keep saying
I
it.
will cry laughing, though, if the Flyers actually pull off a dynasty and actually outdo you and get more cups than the Penguins or match the Penguins. Then I'll cry laughing. I'm like, and you guys were giving me shit for so long.
I mean, the Flyers
Well, they
have.
have the potential. They have this
Right.
goalie that, could be their franchise goalie.
And
So-
we'll get back. We'll go a little more in depth to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute.
when
But
we talk
anyway,
about the
so
Flyers.
the reason why I have the Islanders low and I have Carolina 7th is pretty much just because really at the end of the day, both these teams are pretty much going to be bottom feeders. It really doesn't matter what position they're in. I just think Don Tavares is going to pretty much, that loss is going to kill him. And then on top of it, too, yeah, Carolina sold off a lot of pieces and everything like that. Really, though, at the end of the day, they're both pretty much going to
It's
be
interchangeable.
Yeah, they're going to be separated by what, maybe 2, 3, 4 points from those positions. It's not going to be by much.
It's going to be very interchangeable, and the reason why I like the Islanders in 7th is, and David Roska actually just brought him up, commenting on Facebook Live saying Matthew Barzal is a captain. I like Matthew Barzal.
I love Barzal
I think he's a very talented player. He's going to be the first line center taking place of Jonathan Tavares. I think him and Andrew Ladd could do a lot of damage together.
I mean, that's gonna. It'll be interesting to see. They'll probably play spoiler, which is what they're pretty much gonna do this year. But for the future, with Barzal, it is definitely somebody you can build around. So
No, absolutely.
That'll be what they got to do.
That's
moving
that's
forward.
a huge. It's a huge asset to have, especially when you lose a guy like Jonathan Tavares. You can plug a guy like him in and know that, hey, we're going to be okay. We're not going to be as good,
for a
but we're going to
while.
be okay. We're going to be okay. We have a piece to build around again.
They do, and the same thing with the Red Wings. Yeah, they're not gonna be good for a little while, but they got Dylan Larkin.
They are
So-
6-0 in preseason right now.
Oh well, then my God, I
Watch
stand
out.
corrected.
Watch out.
Holy
They are
shit!
6-0 in preseason.
Because you
Ducks
know,
are on a 2-game win streak in preseason. Let's go.
oh,
You know
all
what?
right,
The
it all starts
Penguins,
there.
The Penguins finally started like a full roster. I don't remember hearing Crosby or Malkin's name.
Do
And
you
we-
guys
and we
even
won
need
f-
to start
and we
anybody?
won 5-1 against
You guys don't
Buffalo,
even need to
so-
start a
We-
single starter.
We had
Like,
our
seriously.
comeback game, when Buffalo decided let's start our full roster opening day. We showed them what our almost full roster was. So
Your Wilkes-Barre Scranton roster can do.
we did play most of our starters that night. But talking about the Islanders as well, we might as well just jump to number 7 now, and that's where I have the Islanders.
The Islanders, you
As
guys. okay.
as we were saying, they are going to be bottom feeders, but their roster isn't that bad. I mean, they went out too, got Filipula from you guys, as well as getting Thomas Kuhankel from the Penguins. Just not big names, but they are pretty solid players, and their defense isn't bad either. They still got Boychuk, Hickey, Leddy, just a couple of those guys, Spiza, and then even goaltending where Thomas Greiss had a pretty solid season for being on a shitty team last year, and also getting in Robin Lehner. So I mean, these aren't like top tier guys, but they will screw a team over.
It's kind of
you know.
like
They could definitely play
it's-
spoiler come
They will
playoff time.
definitely.
it's
be that team.
basically the team that Buffalo used to be.
Yeah.
That's basically what the
it's-
New York
yeah.
Islanders are right now.
Kind of. I mean, I agree with Mike. Like, their roster's not terrible. They have some talent on that roster, but I just don't think they have the goaltending in place.
Andrew
The
Ladd's there,
couple,
too.
just a couple guys
Yeah.
in net. Thomas Greiss is a backup. Robin Leonard's
I
a
mean,
backup.
with
But
their
starters on bad teams.
Yeah.
with their defense being pretty decent, that's probably what's going to make them a pain in the ass to deal with
Yeah.
when you face them. But that's pretty much it for the most part.
Yeah, they don't have. I don't think they have that offensive spark yet. They have some good players on
Yeah,
offense,
they have
but
some good players.
Well,
but not.
they go through a couple of bad years. They get a couple of good, goal scoring forwards in the draft, and that could change if you put a good couple pieces around Barzal and he can elevate their
Yeah.
play. So that could change literally in just a few seasons.
Yeah.
and like I said, he's probably going to be on the same line with Andrew Ladd. And Andrew Ladd's a great playmaker. He's just going to bring out. I think he can help bring out the best of Matthew Barzal.
Honestly, yeah, if they lock down that defense to longer-term deals, if they don't have long-term deals already in place for guys like Nick Leddy and the such, they could put good forwards around them. They'll languish for a couple of years. And if they can get a decent goaltending, player out of a free agency or a trade or whatever the hell you want to try, you can see maybe this team might actually be able to make a little bit of noise, but that wouldn't be for like a couple years down the road from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how their young guys develop this year.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah,
the
that's-
main
that's what it's
focus
gonna
for
be.
them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For Carolina, it's more of we got to rebuild. Let's have the young talent we have. We'll see where they progress forward with, and then we're just going to go get a draft pick.
I mean, aside from Sebastian Aho, there's really nobody
There's
on that team
nothing
that's really
notable. Yeah.
really sticks out. Like I said, you have Justin Williams there. Justin Williams is at the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
Jordan Stahl hasn't been the same since.
Probably at the tail end of his career
Yeah.
with the way he's been playing.
Well, he's still young. What is he? I don't
He
even
is.
think
But
he's
he's
at
not.
30
He's not
yet,
that player
but-
that he was.
No.
You know what?
No.
If he goes to another team, he probably would do better, I think, also, because I think if his play got elevated by another player that was significantly,
Yeah.
more talented, he probably would fit a little bit
I mean,
better.
he was all right with his brother, but after his brother left, that was kind of like it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. If you
He
put
goes
him
there
in,
to play with his brother, and then his
and
brother
yeah.
ditches him.
Yeah.
and
you
then he
know?
goes to go
That's
play in
fucked up,
Minnesota.
Eric.
Yeah.
That was pretty
It was
fucked
up, Eric.
And it was funny because, though, the best part is that the Penguins won in that deal because it's like, okay, well, we can't keep all three, so one of them's got to go. Might as
Yeah.
well be Stahl.
And it's a shame though because we had, where Jordan Stahl is now. I'm assuming a first line center on that team. We had three
Yeah.
first line centers
Yeah.
on our roster, which is absolutely phenomenal. And in a sense, we could almost argue that Derek Brassard could be a first line center on some teams. I said you can argue.
On
not-
Carolina, he could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On some teams, I'm not saying he would be on most teams, but on a few teams, he could definitely be a first-line center. He's capable of it. He's always been a solid player when he was in Ottawa. Didn't do too great, with the growing pains of playing with our team, but
He'll mostly be known for being a Ranger, though.
Yeah.
Those were his
That's where
best
he-
years. Yeah.
Yeah, but like Mike just said, he's still relatively young.
Yeah.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
I
Now
just
he's
think-
going to have a full season as a Penguin under his belt.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what
we
happens.
we have a good center issue, which
That's a great issue to have, by the way.
getting Matt Cullen back, which is amazing. We re-signed Riley Sheehan, having Derek Brassard,
I still can't believe he's still
and
playing.
your
Don't
guy
forget-
Grant,
Don't
right?
oh, you guys got Derek Grant?
Yeah,
Ah, son of a bitch.
he's a center too, right?
Damn it. Yeah, he's going to be your
So-
fourth line center.
Well, no, he's not because we have Sheehan. And
Derek
whatever.
Grant's going to be your fourth line center.
I don't know. Then they might play Sheehan on a wing, but
Probably.
there's so many centers on the bottom six. It's like you could have centers for every position down there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
well,
it's
I
like
know
the same
that pain.
situation in
Yeah.
Anaheim right now. Like, we have three centers, possibly four centers that can wind up being, first-line centers. I mean, if Adam Henrique wasn't in Anaheim, he'd be the first-line center. Ryan Kessler, if he wasn't in Anaheim, he could be a first-line center. Getzlaf is obviously a first-line center. And then now we have Sam Steele, he hasn't broken out yet, but he will, and they expect him to be a top six player.
Well, he's not even what is he, 20?
He's 20. He should. I think he could make the team out of camp this year, but I don't think they're going to yet.
Well, even if he doesn't, he'll probably show up. In the minors, he might very well show up, and then he'll transition that when he's 21.
Right,
over
and
to
we
the
see
main
what happens
roster,
with Ryan Kessler, who is apparently ill, but he's been skating at training camp. I don't think he's played yet.
All right, then. So we got that taken care of. We got the last two teams in the division put in place. Now it's time for the number 6 spot. This is where I have the New York Rangers falling into. Middle of the pack. They're not a terrible team. That's the funny part. It's just I think they're really sold on just wanting to retool their team, and they don't really care too much of, okay, let's try and make a run. Let's just try and retool our team and set up for the future. Because they have pieces already
They have
that
pieces,
can set up
yeah.
that they're setting up for their future. They really don't need to stay
Yeah.
in that position for very long. The question is how long will Lundqvist be in net? That's the only major question
Yeah,
that comes
That,
up.
that's a huge question mark. A guy who's turning, 37 this year, 38?
Yeah.
That's the thing is how much more can he compete?
Yeah,
you
and then so now the real question will come into it. The Rangers will probably be 6th this year, and if they finish 6th, they may draft. They'll probably draft in the top 10 if they do finish 6th.
Yeah.
And if they do,
Maybe it's time to go get a goalie.
they may think about it. They may not. It depends. If they go grab a young goalie, like they tempt a team with a top 10 pick,
Yeah.
and they say, hey, you give us your young, really talented goalie, we'll give you this pick, and they can go and get other picks with trades if they want to. It's really a decision up to the Rangers on that one.
I think as far as the goalie situation goes, it's all going to depend on where they are come the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I think they could, if they're not in a playoff position, they could trade off some pieces and bring in a goalie. I like what they did last year. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like seeing McDonough in Tampa. I honestly wanted him in Anaheim. But getting Vladimir Nemestikov back, I think was a great move for them because he's a young, talented player who can score, he can pass the puck, he's got great vision.
Yeah.
It was a great move for the Rangers. He was another guy I wanted in Anaheim once I heard his name was out there. But, they still need some pieces, and I think they're going to get the pieces in place. I like the fact that they got younger, but they didn't really get worse.
No, they're like I said, they're middle of the pack. They're not a bad team, but they're not a.
And they were middle of the pack last year and the year before.
Yeah, but the thing was that the Rangers, they had enough veteran pieces around them to continue, and Lundqvist was still playing very, very well in order for that to overshadow a lot of their issues. And those issues started to show up in the playoffs a couple years back. And I guess the following year, the Rangers like, all right, we're just going to retool this. Fuck it.
Believe me, I like the fact they're not in full rebuild mode. I like the fact that they're just retooling. I like the fact they're showing faith in the young guys and saying, hey, let's go. We freed up some spots to get a little younger and be a little more competitive. It might take a year or two, but they're going to be back.
I said it before with the Flyers goaltending situation. Competition sometimes breeds the best play out of you. And nothing better for young bucks than to realize, wow, all the guys who were staples on the Rangers currently are now no longer here.
Yeah.
The only spot that we know for sure someone's going to be is Lundqvist. That's it.
Yep.
So now it's like, okay, now it's time to show up and play.
Yep.
And that could wind up proving hugely beneficial for the Rangers come this season.
Yeah.
Again, though, I think they'll just be middle of the pack, which isn't bad. They could still draft high, get a really talented player, and they can put that player into the mix as well. So it's
some dimes.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
For the Rangers, it's not a bad spot for them at all, really.
No,
and they still have their lead defenseman is still young, and Kevin Shattenkirk.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best.
Mark Stahl's still there. So
they're two of the best defensemen at one point in the league, and
that's really it. Other than those two guys that I was just looking at their roster.
I still like.
They
Jimmy
have
Vesey.
about 10 guys on the defensive roster right now, which is crazy, and and goaltending, they actually have 4 goalies on the roster right now. So
I think
it's preseason roster you're looking at too.
That and I don't really think they've found a solution to Lundqvist at all.
No, but it all.
No, and until you do, what do you do? Like,
and it comes
you
back
just
to this.
rock with the guy.
Yeah.
I know we bring him up, and you really don't ever like him, but Cam Talbot, you got to think that he was a guy that was sitting behind Lundqvist for all those years that, obviously they couldn't keep because they had Lundqvist, but Lundqvist is getting towards the end of his career, so it's like, was that a mistake in the long run, I understand because Talbot, he got his chance. He has his chance, and he's been okay with his chance. But, in the long run.
No, I mean, I get it.
for
Cam wanted a starting job. He
Yeah.
didn't want to sit and wait anymore, so he decided to leave. I think the Rangers aren't in a bad spot with their goaltending because Lundqvist is still playing pretty good for his age. But it's like you said, how much longer is he going to go?
That's the only problem.
That's the only problem.
Yeah.
'Cause like I said, he's still a top 20 goalie in the league.
Yeah.
Maybe even top 15.
Probably. He's got to be finishing up that high at this point in his career.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The only thing that I feel bad about is that he doesn't have a cup yet. And we've discussed this multiple times.
Yeah,
it's
you know
a
what?
guy I do feel bad for.
Since he's,
He's the king of Broadway.
Yeah, and since he also, there was no talk about him waiving a no-move clause or a no-trade clause or whatever, it really seems like he just wants to finish out
Yeah,
his
he's
career in New
loyal.
York, and it's like, all right, I give him that. He's very, very loyal. I mean, he got them to a Stanley Cup final once. Unfortunately, they ran into the Los Angeles Kings, and the Kings outdid them. But for his career, that's the only thing that's missing. You know, he's got everything else. You know, division title, Eastern Conference championship. All he was missing was a Stanley Cup, and he's got Vezina trophies. So,
All right, so real quick, before we jump over to our number 5s, let's get some of these comments in here real
Sure.
quick. David Rosca is saying Tavares and Matthews will dominate, and that's accurate.
that's
That's
a
an
pretty safe
understatement,
bet on
actually.
that
I
one.
was gonna
Yeah.
say,
Our friend Steve Jenkins, who hasn't been around in a while, Flyers win the division, please.
Oh, that would be brilliant. I would love that.
Your boy Dean thinks the Devils are going to win the division.
I'm not surprised.
And then we got David Rosca chiming back in with Ducks better dominate. Tavares and Matthews when the Ducks face the Leafs twice. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry, Dave.
Wait, what did he say?
He said the Ducks better dominate Tavares and Matthews when the Ducks face the Leafs twice.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game.
And then we got Chrome chiming in. Hey, fellas, I'm sticking with the champs. Caps squeak it out over the douchebag Penguins.
All right, then.
Hey, at least we're honorable mention. Thanks, Chrome.
Surprisingly, the Penguins, actually maybe not so surprisingly, have no votes on the board right now.
And you know, being that it's a Philly station, I don't expect. Actually, we do. My dad said, "Let's go Penguins."
Okay, but technically, does family members count?
Of course they count. It's a vote.
yeah.
All right, then.
And myself, damn it, no.
Oh, come on.
You don't count. You're
I
on the
get
You're
half.
you're a non-biased
Hey,
party
listen,
he
here.
said I get
If we
half.
had a Twitter poll, I would be clicking the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I'm
okay?
sure you would. I'm sure you would.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure. Just like I'd be clicking the Flyers.
Exactly.
But anyway, not because, logic is telling me to do this. But, anyway. All right, so on to number 5. I don't think Dean will like this too much.
Yeah.
That's where I have the Devils.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all around the board.
Yeah.
on this one.
Yeah, 100%. The Devils. I mean, you look at their roster and it's not flashy, but
That's not a good thing,
no,
though.
but that's what I'm saying.
That's a scary thing.
It's a scary thing because we saw last season that they got it done.
They
and
did.
They really showed that they weren't playing around, and a lot of this was happening with Keith Kincaid as their starting goalie because Corey Schneider was out for almost half the season.
As
So,
always, because
as-
Schneider
gets
hasn't
hurt
had-
all the time.
He has not had a full season with the Devils.
No.
Ever since he signed with them.
No.
I don't think he's even had a full season with Vancouver.
Well, no, because he was the backup to Luongo.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that was another
Point
goalie
taken.
situation, But
But I think the Devils they make some noise, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Don't get me wrong. I like Nico Herscher. I like
Taylor
some of the
Hall in
team
there,
that they've
yeah.
put together over the last couple years. I'm not too sure about their defense.
That's their biggest gleaming issue. Oddly enough, I know their pain.
Schneider can play well, and we've seen Schneider play well. We know he can play well. How good is that defense going to play in front of them?
Well,
We know the offense is going to put goals up. Like, are
it's
they going to be able to keep them out?
it's really going to come down to where they finish off. Do they have a good, strong showing in the first half, and can they keep it going in the second? Or if they have a real rough first half, can they recover and have a strong second half? Because it's pretty much going to come down to wild card for them. With competing with most likely.
no.
What was it?
Don't say Florida.
I wasn't going to say Florida.
I was going to say the Flyers.
Well,
They could compete with Florida, though.
Well, I'm just saying wild card teams in general. And I was going to say the Flyers, too.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to get all the wild card teams in my head because the East, oddly enough, is not as competitive this year as it was last year.
No.
All right, so
So-
Devils are going to have to compete with the Flyers, the Panthers, probably the Bruins.
Probably the Bruins.
Depends on where everybody else has
And
them.
it
in their-
depends
Well,
on
I think
where.
the
standings,
Bruins are
but-
still
And
a top 3
also,
in that
there
division,
the
so.
one other thing, too, is it also depends on
Buffalo.
Yes, and Buffalo as well. No, seriously, though. He makes a good point.
Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm praising Buffalo for what they did this offseason, but I still don't think they're quite a playoff
No,
team.
they're
but
not.
I'm
I
not
don't
saying-
think-
hey.
not this season. I don't think they could compete. But in the future, if this team looks good, it's going to attract
in the next 2 years.
a
Absolutely.
nasty free agent to get Buffalo back on the track.
But let's-
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
So
don't sleep on them though,
No,
because
believe
they
me, I'm
could.
not
No, you're not
I-
sleeping
they-
on them.
Yeah,
Absolutely
they
not.
could, they could have a strong first half, have a terrible second half, but it's enough to piss you the
yeah.
fuck off.
I mean,
you
I
know?
think after we talked about it, I wasn't here for that show, but I think I decided to put them 5th in that division.
I
Keep
see
them
them
5th,
being a
you know.
500 hockey team. I see them having like 30, 35 wins this year.
Yeah, they'll
they'll
be pretty
definitely
close.
drastically improve from where they were this past
Yeah,
season.
from
so
the bottom of the Atlantic to semi still sinking.
Yeah,
But jumping back to the Devils, they're going to compete for the wild card.
Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they're
The 4 teams above them, some might not be all that much better, but I think they'll be better, a little bit more competitive, especially on the defensive side of the puck.
Well,
Yes.
the weird thing too
Yeah.
about the Metropolitan this year is that the top 3 teams that I have are not drastically that much better than the Devils and the Flyers. Oddly enough, because
No.
when you think about it, it's just like how far off are the Flyers and the Devils from being top tier teams?
Yeah.
They're not that far
No,
off
no,
either.
not
one
Like
of
the
them.
Rangers, I think they're
Yeah.
a year or 2 off.
Yeah.
They're not far. Capitals are starting to
decline.
They got
But-
their championship. They did bring back a couple people that I did like, and they're kind of just staying pat. I'll get to the rest of them as we keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going on it. But anyway, so yeah, we have the Devils at 5. At 4, this is where I got the Flyers. I think that's hopefully that was a fair assessment. No homer though. I think the Flyers probably will get a wild card again. And that's most likely where they're going to finish. I think they can flirt with third place, but flirt is as much as they're going to get with it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make as big of a splash in the division like they did last year.
Yeah.
Mostly because a lot of teams in the Metropolitan, the Devils made a shocking. They were first place. The Flyers were first place for a cup of coffee, and then the big team started to return to form, and that's when things
Get
changed.
things going.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely. I mean, I'm right with you there too, Maddie. I think I have them in the 4th position as well, and it's just my biggest concern is not the defense because I think the defense is pretty damn good minus Andrew McDonald.
Who's
We have
not-
to bring him up.
and thank God he's not starting this
Um,
season.
Yeah,
Actually,
starting
he
this-
is.
Yeah,
God damn it, he came back early. Fuck me. He had
but-
one fucking job, and that was to miss the fucking season, you
He
prick.
played tonight.
My biggest concern with that team
Stay away.
is their
piece of shit.
goaltender situation.
It is the biggest gleaming issue, and it's been their biggest problem.
Yeah.
It's oddly enough, it's kind of the same thing the Devils are in right
Yeah.
now, and not just
It's
defense
like their,
with them.
their backup
The-
is like
yeah,
outshining their
their
starter.
starter. It's the same issue we
So-
run into because Elliott got himself fucking hurt,
Yeah.
and then we had to depend on Neuwirth. Neuwirth got himself fucking hurt too, and then we go get Mrazek.
Yeah.
So Christ.
Well, here's the thing. Now this year, you don't have to worry about Mrazek, so that's
no,
one
you
less
don't.
person.
That's one less
that
person.
you have
And
to worry about.
Neuwirth, you don't have to worry about him either.
Well, Neuwirth is now out indefinitely, so he's going to be out for an extended period of time.
And that's why you don't have to worry about him.
And you have Alex Lyon, who's probably going to be out. I believe it was a couple months, maybe a few weeks, something along those lines.
I feel bad for Lyon too because it was actually looking like this might have been his opportunity.
chance,
you
yeah.
So
know?
now, Brian Elliott's going to be a starter.
Well, yes.
I'm hearing a lot of people say Carter Hart should have that backup spot,
No,
and I agree with you. It's got to go to Stolars.
it is going to go to Stolars. I
It has to
guarantee
go to
you. That's
Stolars.
why Stolars was playing tonight because he came back from his injury.
Hart played.
Carter played the entire game tonight.
Oh, he did. I thought it was Stoley.
No,
Nope.
Hart played.
Well, we were watching the game on the freaking screen, but the damn thing decided to kick out on us, and we couldn't get the game back. So anybody could have been in net tonight for all I knew. But anyway,
Yeah, Carter played the entire game.
well, still though, fine. We're giving Carter a taste of NHL action. That's
Yeah.
fine with me. Let
Which
him
he
progress.
needs. You can't just
Wh-
throw him in there. You know?
Perfectly fine.
Right, exactly.
So, but that's the thing, though. Stoley should be the backup because we really don't have anybody else to be a backup unless you want to try and throw Sandstrom in there from the Phantoms up, and that's a big. That's a
Well,
big
here's
if on
here's
that
my
one,
thing.
yeah.
Here's my thing with saying Carter Hart needs to go back down, and it shouldn't be the backup. He needs to play. He needs a little bit more seasoning. He's looked good in the
He
preseason.
has.
He really
Yes.
has. He's showing that he can compete at the NHL level. But here's the thing. It's preseason. Not everybody's playing all their stars.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of the AHL players, and and he's showing that he can compete. Send him down. Let him get to seasoning. It's only going to make him better. It's another step in development. He's not going to be down there long. The max he's going to be down there is one more season. Because you have Elliott on a 1-year contract. Stolarz is on a 1-year contract. I think Alex Lyon's on a 2-year contract.
I think they re-signed him to a 2-year deal.
So then you have Alex Lyon who can come up and be Carter Hart's backup next year. Carter Hart, the reins are going to him next year regardless.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what the thing is people want him so desperately to be in a Flyers jersey, and they got a taste of it in the preseason. Now they want it more. It's like, again, I'll say this again. Relax. It's going to happen. But like you were saying,
gotta let him develop.
Yes,
I mean,
let him be down in the AHL.
20 years old.
Yeah, he's in the AHL. Let him play an entire season with the Phantoms. It's pro hockey. Yes, it's not the NHL level, but it's still pro hockey. And you still get a taste of playing every single day on an AHL team. You get that bit. You get your ears wet with the way the style is, because the AHL and the NHL, they are a little different, but they're not too different. The rules are not as different now as they used to be with the hybrid icing, because now that's in the NHL. Yeah. But again, I would say,
it's ridiculous.
Keep Carter Hart. Let him develop in the Phantoms. He'll be here next year, and once he's here next year, there'll be no question.
Yeah.
He'll be the starter. And then,
there's no question. Elliott's not coming back.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the last year of his contract, like I just said, and same with Stolarz.
He was a placeholder.
See, the thing is, though, I think, we discussed this how many months ago now, Hart is going to be in the NHL at some point this season.
He could be.
I think.
Barring injury, I don't think he is. Unless Stolarz or Elliott gets hurt.
Yeah.
Well,
which is bound to happen.
Here's the thing, though. Do you see?
That's true.
At least Elliott, anyway.
Well, there's also
Stolarz is always hurt as well. So
that's true. He suffered that injury last year.
The thing is, I just, not even barring injuries, I just think that Hart, he's going to be almost forced up here because that's what the fans want.
Well, no, not necessarily, because Hextall's the kind of guy who doesn't give in to fan pressure. And unlike other GMs who have been known to throw a goalie and just literally throw him to the fucking wolves as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a lot of teams have been known to do it. I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury was drafted, and he started pretty much right out of it.
Pretty much right away.
Same thing with Lundqvist. But, again, notice what those two players are. It's Lundqvist and it's Marc-Andre Fleury. Those are once-in-a-lifetime goalies that you drafted right there.
Hey, listen. Ron Hextall, one of the greatest goaltenders in Flyers history, played 1 year in the AHL. Martin Brodeur, arguably the best goaltender to ever play in the NHL, had one year in the AHL. It's not going to hurt.
No, absolutely not. Again, I just think because the fans are so wanting it to happen and they believe that will
They're
be.
ready.
They are
and
ready.
I don't blame them.
And believe me, I'm ready too. But that's the thing. We also have to keep in mind it's not just Carter Hart that's going to answer the problems for the Flyers. You also have to make sure that our defense prospects are coming along very well. And you have to make sure they're playing well.
Philip Myers is having a pretty good camp.
Which he is, and I'm very happy about that. You also want to make sure that our offense is not going to go dry, which I'm not worried about really at all, because getting JVR will help this team leaps and bounds with secondary scoring.
Oh, definitely. Big time. That's the biggest move that they've made this offseason.
Can I just say,
sure,
Mikhail Vorobyev needs to make the roster out of camp. He's having a tremendous camp.
He probably will. I don't know. He'll probably start off, and he might be that guy that plays for a while, and if he kind of has a little bit of a moment, he might be a scratch.
Yeah.
I could see that possibly being a spot. But they would start him, though, to begin the season, though, because of that reason.
They're taking a really hard look at him, and I understand why.
Oh, yeah.
He's quick. He's great with the puck.
And he's scoring.
He's scoring. He had 2 points tonight. He makes good decisions with the puck. He can back check. He can forecheck. He's ready.
Yeah.
Vorobyev is ready, and I think he could be huge on the third line right now, which desperately needs some kind of a spark. I think he can provide that spark. I thought Philip Myers was having a good camp. This kid's camp is even better.
Hell, he's come out of nowhere, and he's just saying, you know what? I'm going to make this my camp. And that's what I love to see when you see
he's
somebody.
a second-year player? He was drafted, 2 years ago?
He was, but here's the thing, though. He comes into camp, and he's like, I'm going to make this my camp. This camp's going to be my bitch this
It's where
year.
you got to shine,
And
man.
that's exactly
where
what
you
he
gotta
did.
shine.
A lot of people were looking towards Hart and looking towards guys like Morgan Frost and the rest of them. And
He came in under the radar.
he came in right under the
Yeah.
radar, and he just showed up. It's like, nope, this is my camp.
Yep.
Everybody
Hey.
else, go away.
That's what you
I-
have to do.
you know,
I mean,
It really is, and he's a very talented young player. And he had, of all the guys that are in camp right now, I think he's the one that has to make the roster right
He
now.
probably will because he'll probably come. Like I said, he'll probably be in a spot that'll be taken up because a certain flyer.
He's played 6 games in the preseason. 6 games. So they're taking a hard look
They
at
are.
him.
They are. He's probably gonna. What position does he play again?
He's a winger.
He's a winger. Okay. Now I'm trying to think. What's his nuts play?
I say put him on the third line and left wing.
That's what I was thinking.
Put him with Scott Lawton. And
That would elevate Lawton's play too if he
maybe even put Simmons on the third line on
Uh,
right wing. So you have
I'm not against it.
Vorobiev, Lawton, and Simmons on the third line. I
I'm
think
not
that could be a
against
good. I think that could be a really good third line.
That could be a good third line that you have in your back pocket that can like pretty much be like a pain in the ass that you think, like, okay, they're just throwing out the third line where in the past that really isn't scary from the Flyers. Now all of a sudden, like, oh shit, they can actually score now, you know? So that could be something pretty cool with a deep set of lines right there for the Flyers. Speaking of that too, let's talk about a little off-ice activities before we continue our division breakdown here. Yeah, something to do with that. So, news broke today that Yuri Laterra, who we traded for, by the way, we traded Braden Shen to the St. Louis Blues for this prick, by the way. Not only does he have a miserable fucking season, but on top of it, too, he shows up in the offseason and he's being investigated for a possible involvement with a cocaine ring in his home country of Finland. Really? Like, what? What the fuck? This is shit that you see in the NFL. What the fuck? Like, seriously.
That's been kind of the thing lately, especially in the NHL, is seeing some of these guys linked to cocaine. I mean, Jared Stoll's
Stoll,
career
yes.
ended because of it.
Well,
Mike Richards' career was basically over because of it.
because
ran off of that shit.
it revolved around it. Yeah.
And now we got Yuri Laterra. I mean, it's
I mean, Christ.
I mean, guys are gonna do what they do. You can't stop them from doing it. I mean, you got to get your kick
So-
somewhere.
So,
Not that I'm condoning what he's done, but
So what you do is you put Laterra, Stoll, and Richards on the same line. You call it the white powder line. That's what you do.
I could tell you
Or
it'll
the
be moving
dope
extra
line.
fast.
Yeah. You just give them a bunch
the
of
booger
strippers.
sugar line.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Just give them a whole bunch of strippers before the game and have them snort lines off their bums. And next thing you know, those motherfuckers are scoring 30 goals a season. There we go. Solved our problem. Stanley Cup's ours. Who gives a shit what they do in their spare time?
You think those 3 guys can score 30 goals apiece?
No,
Listen, that's
it's the cocaine playing. It's not them. They have no skill in that.
That's NHL on rookie mode.
That's what I mean. That's what the cocaine does.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be like me and just, beat Arizona 8-5, which was bullshit because I actually played Luke Shen, right? I actually played Luke
And
Shen.
you scored with him, didn't you?
No, he got ejected from the game.
You
Oh
know,
my
he got a
God,
game
that's
misconduct
fucking
it's
great.
funny. 'cause,
I'm sitting there. I see the penalty. I'm like, all right. So he just got a game misconduct. That's pretty accurate.
you're like,
And
"Damn,
go
5
figure, it's the
minutes."
one game that I actually play him in. So then Arizona comes back and scores 3 goals on a 5-minute power play. I'm like, fuck this.
Oh God.
Good time.
Son of a bitch.
I hope you enjoy Luke Shen's services
Oh,
with the
God.
Anaheim Ducks.
Listen, he's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Like Frosted Flakes. They're more than good. They're great.
Laterra likes his Frosted Flakes. It's just not sugar that's frosting them.
Ooh.
Well, you could take that one of two ways. You can either go the narcotic route or you can go another route with it. It's completely up to you. I'll leave that to your
Brodo's
imagination.
like, there might be more than 2 ways. No, I'm kidding.
And Brodo's just like, God damn it. It had to happen, didn't it?
Brodo's probably thinking, why the hell did I take this show on?
Yep.
He says that every week.
He does, really. Sometimes I feel concerned, and then other times I feel like, no, because I wouldn't have fun. But anyway. All right. So, yes, that happened, and Ron Hextall, of course, refused to comment. I'm pretty sure he would have refused even if it wasn't serious. But it is serious. However, though, they've talked to his lawyer, and apparently his lawyer comment that he really isn't involved. Obviously, that's what his lawyer's going to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you pay for something good like that, I mean, I would hope that my lawyer would say, yeah, I don't know, he's a good guy. He would never do that kind of stuff. I mean, just pay me like $500,000. Oh, yeah, he's a fucking angel.
Well, here's the thing. He made a total of $21 million, so I'm pretty sure he could pay $500,000, maybe even $1 million to his lawyer to say, hey, man, if you can figure out a way.
The guy's an angel. I mean,
It doesn't matter what the guy did. His lawyer is going to defend him
Yes.
Listen,
Yeah.
until the verdict comes out.
Pretty much. But
that's
the-
what their job
Oh,
is.
you found a guy with the knife in his hand and the throat slit of that other person? Oh, he didn't do it.
are we talking about O.J. Simpson?
No, I was actually
okay.
just watching The Flash. That's why that was kind of.
Oh, okay. Because you said knife in hand, and yeah, yeah. Sorry. Immediately when I hear knife and sports are being talked about, I immediately go to
all
O.J.
the evidence
Simpson.
links this to this guy, but he didn't do it. He's a nice guy. He would
Brodo's
never-
like, all right, man.
Hey, listen, that's what they said about O.J., man. He was a nice All-American dude, and look what happened to him. Turns out, man, that's some bitch. And yet he winds up getting off for that, and he winds up getting thrown into jail for robbing somebody's house because they stole his shit. My God.
He robbed a casino.
Oh, yeah, casino. Anyway,
Like,
it was somebody's place of business.
he's trying to get our song because we're talking about OJ.
Yeah,
in the
that's
middle.
what we're talking about. He's trying to get the
Jesus
American Crime
Christ.
Story shit going
Yeah.
because that was the first season of it.
I just need it
with
real
OJ.
quick.
I never even watched that. Was that even
Yeah.
a good show? I have no clue.
I don't.
I know Tupac and Biggie was this past season, but anyway. Oh my God.
All right, thanks for the cue there, Brodo.
Anyway.
I gave you plenty of chances not to make me do that.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You knew it was going to happen.
Oh, I know. I just not this early.
Yeah.
Not this early. Oh, come on. It's 10:59. Christ. We're halfway through the show, for crying out loud.
By the way, real
Literally exactly halfway through.
Yeah.
quick, Jared Goff on fire tonight. 421 and 5 touchdowns. Just have to throw that out there.
Somebody's got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Nobody else will.
No.
Nobody else is
I-
talking.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
I feel bad for
shit,
my buddy who left him on the bench.
I mean,
Yeah, me
shit.
too.
If no one's talking about
I
it,
dropped him.
it might make it seem like it's a fucking hockey show or something.
Yeah, you would
know? I
think.
mean,
You would think.
seriously.
I mean, if we should be talking about hockey, considering we've been talking about knives and cocaine now.
And
so.
O.J. Simpson.
Murder.
O.J. Simpson.
And,
There
you
it
know-
is. When you know we get that deep into the song, you know there's a problem.
Yes, pretty much. So, Yuri Laterra, we will see what happens.
We will see him on the other side.
Again, he is innocent till proven guilty. I think that's how Finland's court system works. I don't know if he is indicted. There's no charges filed yet, so we don't know
Nah, we'll find out.
if he will be indicted. With that being said, on the other side, we will continue to break down the Metropolitan Division. The Flyers are going to be fourth to round that out, and we'll give our top three. And then guess what? We get to dive into the mascot.
Yes.
And we all know who we're fucking talking about. We'll talk about him on the other side.
Wild Wing.
Yes.
No?
Yeah, it's Wild
Iceberg.
Wing, sure. I thought it was Ice.
I could just see like a bunch of Santas like running across
Hold
the
on.
street when I hear this song.
Bad Santa?
Something like that.
Great movie. Anyway, so with that, all right. On the other side, we'll finish up our Metropolitan Division preview. But first, this was brought to you by Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com. If you joined us on Facebook, we thank you very much. And if you joined us on Instagram as well as Twitter, we thank you so much. Please feel free to join us for the rest of the show on YouTube. There will be a link in the comments on Facebook for you to click on to catch us for the second half. Until then, we will see you next time. And for those who are on YouTube, we will see you right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour on YouTube. And we are here in the Real Talk Studios here in Mountie from New Jersey, live on A2DRadio.com.
New chairs.
Yes, with these really awesome, very comfy leather chairs that we got going on right here, man.
Yes.
So fancy.
Yes.
So fancy.
Oh, we fancy.
Yes. I am Matt Tsutsuti. This is the Penguin Lover,
What up?
Michael Klankoff. Right over there is the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What up?
Behind the board is Mr. Ryan Brodo. Shockingly still here.
You know.
Of course, he's
He's
like,
just here because he has to be.
yeah.
He's
just-
here so he
This
doesn't
is
get
definitely
fined.
not
Yeah, so he
budget.
doesn't get
Exactly.
fined. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to say that
I like
too.
it, Marshawn.
Damn. He beat me to it. But anyway. All right.
Maybe a little quicker,
so,
Maddie.
I do, by the way. Next week, in honor of the NHL season beginning, I do have a surprise for you all.
Oh, you've been teasing this surprise off mic.
I don't know how it would help any of you guys, but it's
Hey,
a surprise.
Listen,
You'll see.
if it helps us, it helps us. If it helps you, more power to
Let's
you.
just say next week I'll activate myself. That's all I'm saying.
He's coming off the
Okay.
IR.
I'm pulling a Roger Dorn for Major League 2.
All right, then.
As of 12:04, I activated myself. Shut up, Dorn.
All right. So, Hockey Happy Hour is brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, certified public accountants, located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call at 215-369-3300. We've all been there. We all think we got everything taken care of. We got all those nice little receipts. We got them in the fucking shoebox, and we think it's all going to be perfect. And sure enough, we think we got everything, and we missed something. We don't know what it is. It could have been anything. But for whatever reason, we filled out the W-2, and there's thousands of dollars, in my case, tens of dollars, that I missed out on. And I could have gotten it all if only I'd went to Gibson Mayer. So when tax season comes around, be ready, be prepared. Don't miss your tens and thousands of dollars. Get Gibson Mayer. What?
Already
Wow.
am scared.
Your paper fell.
Anyway. All right.
That's fine. I'll get it, guys. Don't worry.
Good job. Thanks, Brian.
It's what I do.
Because he's the gentleman of the group.
I am.
Anyway, so we were talking about the Metropolitan Division and people who aren't so gentlemanly anymore.
Yeah, we are.
I feel you, bro.
One of the scoundrels of the NHL. Although I guess we can't really say he's a scoundrel yet. He still has to be proven to be a scoundrel in a court of law over in Finland. But anyway, we were also talking about the Metropolitan Division. We finished off with the Flyers finishing fourth. Now we go to our top three. And at number 3, this is where I have these guys, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Get out of my head.
Really? You agree with me?
Yeah.
This is bad. This is really fucking bad that we agreed on this.
I don't. I just listen. I like.
He's
the
got his hood
goaltending.
on. That's how bad this is. He knows shit's about to fly. Christ, all right.
I like where the goaltending situation is. Defense is, but I don't like some of the moves he made in the offseason. I like holding on to Brassard. I like, obviously, you got Crosby and Malkin, and that's going to be like pretty much the source of the offense there.
And memories.
But
and
giving
goal.
up on what's his name that got traded to Buffalo?
Kuhankel?
No,
No, Kuhn Honkel.
I said Buffalo.
Oh. No.
You don't know?
She's
It's your
something.
team.
What?
She something Cody.
Cody Sheehan.
No,
he's with
No, it's Connor Sheary.
Connor Sheary. That's it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about my buddy.
Yeah, I mean that was a rough trade for them, and I still don't think they're going to be as solid defensively because you lose a big key piece in Ian Cole, and
Well,
It
Ian
hurt.
Cole we lost years ago.
that was last year.
No, he hasn't played for us in a year, over a year now.
I think he got traded to Ottawa this past offseason, and then he got traded somewhere else.
I think,
Columbus.
Yeah,
I think we're going to need to do
I
some
think,
research.
He
Brodo, I
went
think
to Columbus. I think he's now on Colorado's
Hold
roster.
on. Why don't we get Brodo on this? Why don't we have
What do
him
you
look
need?
this up? Can you see if
Ian Cole. I'm pretty sure he's on Colorado now.
Yeah, see if he got traded from the Penguins.
He did before the season started. He got traded to Ottawa, and then 2 days later got traded to Columbus.
Ian Cole, number 28 defender, Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, he's
February 26, 2018, traded
Yeah,
to Ottawa, traded to Columbus.
yeah. So I mean,
So that was this past year.
Yeah, but it.
But it hurts. It's a move that hurt.
Yeah,
It hurt the defense.
yeah, it does. But we finally have hopefully, a full year of all of our defensemen being healthy. But of course, Olimata will get hurt for at least 10 to 15 games this
Crystal
year.
Tang will get
Crystal
hurt
Tang
again.
will probably miss 10 to 15 games this year. Justin Schultz is already day to day.
You know,
Brian Dumoulin.
Justin
can't
Schultz
help-
he's not what they expected him to
No,
be.
well, he had a really bad season last year. But I mean, for what we're paying him, the guy was trying to go out and get paid, $5 million in that offseason. Realized nobody wanted to pay him that. He
Because
came
they
back here and
realized-
got paid him 1.5. So
Because they realized that, he realized that everybody in the league still has a brain.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but
Oh yeah,
I mean,
you guys have Jack Johnson too.
yeah. So I mean, we
Well, maybe they will be better than I thought.
I think they will, and I thought I was talking to you, Maddie, before about Columbus, and I really do like Columbus a lot this year, but I think the Seth Jones injury is going to set them back a little bit. He's going to be out potentially the most 5 weeks into the season.
I will say that is going to be a frustrating thing for them.
And
but
considering that they lost Johnson already, too.
They did.
So they're losing 2 of their top defensemen for the beginning of the season.
They are, but they also their goalie could
Yeah,
probably make up for that issue.
absolutely,
Same thing
yeah,
with
yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
with a rough defense issue. Murray's going to make up for it,
Yeah.
as barring he faces the Flyers. But with that,
Yeah, so that's the day we start Casey DeSmith. We
yeah.
already know
Just
that.
go with DeSmith
Or
every
Jari,
time you face
whoever-
Philly.
Whoever decides to be our second goalie this season.
Yeah, just go with your backup when
Yeah.
when you're facing the Flyers.
I'm kind of second guessing myself.
Are you
But
now?
Yeah.
no, but here's
I
the thing
just-
though. I wouldn't.
They're going to be neck and neck.
They are, but here's the thing. I think Columbus, being the team that they are, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the fuck they go through.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, you could kill John Tortorella, like put a bullet in his head, and they could lose their coach and their whole structure that they have the team based around, and they still would have a phenomenal season
Yeah.
on top of it. That's the kind of team Columbus has. It's just no matter what they get thrown in, no matter what kind of injuries they suffer, because they've had to fight through injuries on multiple occasions, they always do, and they always
Yeah.
come out on the other side better than
Well,
they went in.
here's
And
the
that's
thing.
the weird part.
And I've changed my mind. I think Columbus is going to finish third over Pittsburgh. Columbus, yeah, they have Sergei Bobrovsky.
Behind
who's-
Pittsburgh.
Whatever.
No instant replay this time.
Yeah,
I'm tired. Leave me alone.
It's okay. I'm with you.
I mean, they have Sergei Bobrovsky, who's obviously going to help carry the team, and they're very defensive.
Goaltending-wise,
team.
obviously Columbus wins that battle. Offensively, Pittsburgh's
Pittsburgh
got the upper
clearly,
hand.
yes.
Defensively, I would say they're
neck and neck.
kind of even. But
Well, John Tortorella, he's a defensive-minded coach. That's where
Yeah.
he puts all his efforts in. Play defense first. The offense is going to come later.
mm,
You keep the pucks out of the net, and then
yeah,
pucks will eventually go in.
definitely, yeah.
But that's the thing, though. Look at the way that Columbus has used that to their advantage. Columbus was shockingly, surprisingly, Columbus didn't finish with a division spot. It was looking like they were going to be third place in the division this year.
They tanked.
They
Remember that. They tanked as well as the Devils because supposedly
true.
they were scared to face the Penguins in the first round. Sources.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, history shows that Pittsburgh has a good track record against Columbus.
yeah.
Although history showed the same thing with Washington. So, again, not always the best to go based on history like I do. But
Yeah.
with that being said, though, Columbus, in doing so, they fucked themselves anyway because they wound up facing Washington. And, yeah,
Yeah.
Washington, they had a real rough start, but Washington woke up after
Well,
losing
yeah,
two
they-
very close games
Washington
in Washington.
Yeah, Washington went down 2-0 in that series to start it off.
Then won 4
and
straight.
that was with Grubauer starting, and then they bring in Holtby. Holtby comes in and just lights out, and obviously the rest.
And that's
is
kind of
history.
where I think Columbus is going to falter is their offense. They lose Matt Calvert, who's a 20-goal scorer. They didn't really bring anybody in that's really going to change that franchise. I mean, Artemi Panarin is a name that pops out at me, but after that, like, they have solid players. They don't really have anybody that's gonna
But it's
scare you offensively.
the weird part of it is though, it almost like they don't need it because a lot of times a lot of their secondary
hell's that little
players
kid's
are
name?
scoring.
They do have Cam Atkinson. That name just popped in my
and
head.
they have Cam Atkinson, yes.
I have him on my
But-
fantasy team.
But
I
when
was
you
like,
think
what the
about it,
hell's
a
his
lot
name?
of times, a lot of their players, it's usually their secondary players that score a shit ton of goals.
Well,
It-
Jenner,
it-
Jenner
yeah,
was
it-
one of
Boone
them.
Jenner was,
Yeah.
but he had an off year last year.
Yeah.
He did, but again though,
Alexander Wenberg.
there's a lot of guys who,
Well, like I said, defensively they're stacked.
Yeah.
again, it's one of those things where that team just whatever happens, they seem to be able to thrive in an environment where the odds are stacked against them, and they usually rise to the occasion. I really think because Pittsburgh and them are probably going to be extremely close this year, I think Columbus, as the season goes along and Seth Jones comes back and so does other players as well they've lost, I think things will swing a little bit better in the favor of Columbus. I think they come out on the other side. And maybe in the first half it looks like it's going to be more solidly Pittsburgh taking second place. But that could change come the second half. If Columbus has a very strong second half, they could easily go past Pittsburgh and take second place and wind up facing off with Pittsburgh with home ice advantage.
Yeah.
And that, again, I don't think that changes much because the way that the series played out, Columbus had home ice advantage once anyway, and it still ended with Pittsburgh winning.
Let me correct myself. Wenberg is an
He's a
offensive
center.
player. He's a center. I was
Yeah.
thinking of Zach Werenski.
Yeah, Werenski, yeah.
But with that being said, though, I think it will just be because, injuries right now do hurt Columbus, but I don't think that they will kill them for the entire year. I think as the year goes longer, I think Columbus will start to kind of creep back up the standings,
yeah.
and I think they'll take second place away from Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh might have it at the beginning of the year, but I think that'll change come the
I'm
end
still-
of the second.
I'm looking
half.
at Columbus's roster right now, and I'm not being biased, but I am a fan of the Penguins, obviously. But just looking at the roster, I think straight up, the Penguins have the better roster.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Again, though, that I will say this 1,000 times over: it's not necessarily the best team on
I know,
paper that
yeah.
winds up having the best record at the end of the year.
I'm just saying though, but if you look at what the Penguins did compared to, that's what Brian was just saying. What the Penguins did, the little that they did, compared to the little that they did, our little is a lot better. I mean, we took away their second best defenseman.
Right, but and even still, look at Pittsburgh still has guys like Phil Kessel and Patrick Hornqvist, who
Jake Gensel.
Jake Gensel. These aren't. They're pretty well known guys, but they're guys you don't necessarily always think of, and then you're just like, oh yeah, Patrick Hornqvist, or oh yeah, I forgot Phil Kessel's still in Pittsburgh. I heard the trade rumor swirling. I wasn't sure if he got moved or whatever. It's just things you don't think about. You look at the roster in Columbus. Cam Atkinson stands out. I didn't know Anthony Duclair went there.
Yeah.
You forget about Nick Foligno because he's not really a goal scorer. Mark Letestu, Riley Nash. Artemi Panarin's another name that pops out at you because he's a 30, 35, 40 goal scorer.
Mhm.
And even Alex Wenberg. I forgot about Alex Wenberg.
Yeah, the team's solid, but it's just I still don't. It's funny because I was bigger on them going into the season. Like I said, the Seth Jones injury takes a lot on them because he's probably their most experienced defenseman at this point. Since they lost Jack Johnson.
I love the Columbus defense. I think they're probably
I-
one of the best units in the NHL.
Here's the thing. I look at Columbus this way. I think Columbus is a very strong regular season team, and I think that again, will find itself to be true.
Yeah.
Their biggest problem is their playoffs. They haven't figured out a way to get out of there. And I don't think anything will change. Even if this plays out the way I see it, with Columbus having home ice against Pittsburgh, I still see Pittsburgh winning a series against them because I still don't see them having enough to get by a team like Pittsburgh or Washington. The regular season's totally different. It can be where, this team got by us by like 3 points, and that's it. And the only reason they got by us 3 points is because we took an OTL when we didn't want to.
Yeah.
It can happen easily just like that. And I think it's going to be that close between these two teams.
It will be.
Between
it will
fifth
be
and
very
first,
close.
it's going to probably be within 12 points of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
So,
maybe not even that. It's going to be a tight division. Obviously, we're all in agreement that the Capitals are going to be the first place team.
Yes,
so we might as well just throw
absolutely.
them into the talks now. Just between those three teams, it's going to be close. Not saying the Flyers are out of it either, because they're not. They're obviously going to be in the mix of being a top team potentially. I mean, they minus what, the 10-game losing streak that you guys had.
We had a really great year.
You had a great year. And it's
did.
not like that losing streak was necessarily bad, because half of the losing streak was overtime losses.
Most of it.
So
This is a winless streak.
and then
Yeah.
winless. And then they counter it with the 6 to 7 game, whatever it was, winning streak after that. So it almost was like a wash.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the team wasn't consistent enough, but they can be. And it's just
well, they're not
They were-
there yet.
they're not there yet, but there's going to be something about them this year. Getting JVR back
Oh, it's
is
huge.
huge. It's absolutely huge. And, those top 4 teams, and even throwing the Devils too, the top 5, they could be positioned almost anywhere. But realistically, I think we have to say Holtby is by far the best goalie in this division. And then they have the best goal scorer in the division as well, in Alexander Ovechkin, which is going to put them, and probably John Carlson being the best defenseman in the goddamn division too. So
I disagree with Holtby being the best. I think, despite the team that he's on,
Well,
Sergei
yeah, it
Bobrovsky's the
helps.
best goaltender.
Well, look at it this way. If Sergei Bobrovsky had been on Columbus and Columbus had a team that was around Rick Nash, good chances are, with Rick Nash playing like Rick Nash should have,
yeah,
they could have won a Stanley Cup.
yeah.
That's how good Bobrovsky
Oh yeah,
is.
he's phenomenal.
And it's just it's one of those things where Washington, they're too good still. Like they're declining, but they're declining slowly.
You know what? I'm interested to see what they do with their new head coach now that Barry Trotz is in New
Oh,
York.
yeah.
That is
That
true.
is true,
Barry
yeah.
Trotz is in New York. It is going to
So
be
maybe
interesting to
Washington
see.
isn't the best team in the division right now.
They
And-
might go through some growing pains. You never know, because
Of course.
I mean the
New
Penguins,
coach, new system.
once they got rid of Bilesman and brought in Mike Johnson, the team, like, they were okay. They rode the Bilesman high, but then the next season after that, they went down to 10th in the
Right, and
standings, and then
and
Mike
you-
Sullivan comes in and takes the team
Turns
to the
the
Stanley
whole
Cup.
And you never
thing
know.
around,
yeah.
We don't know what this head. I don't even know who the new head coach in Washington is now. But it's a new head coach, new system. So it might affect the Capitals. It might not affect the Capitals. That might still be the best team in the division.
It depends on what will happen. I mean, coming out, I think it
Todd
will probably,
Reardon?
at least in
Who?
Todd Reardon.
Uh, he's
Oh, he
saying
was
that.
one of their assistants last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's getting a chance to become a head coach. But with that, I think this is a chance for Washington. Like, they may struggle coming out of the gate, but I think Washington will probably put the pieces together pretty quickly.
Yeah, the roster's too good.
Yeah, it's too
It's
good
too
for
good of
them
a
to be.
roster.
Yeah, again, they may stumble, and they may stumble for a few weeks, but after that, boom, the light will come on, and then they'll just be terrible to deal with after that. You know?
Absolutely.
That's
So-
probably what's going to happen.
Real quick, can I just say how happy I am that Corey Perry got hurt?
That's
Like,
bad.
it's terrible. I love Corey Perry. He had his moments where I was just like, Corey Perry is the man. He's the future of the NHL, blah, blah, blah. I'm thrilled that he's out for 5 months. He's going to be out for more than 3/4 of the season.
Good God.
Bring somebody up. Let's go. Max
Yeah.
Jones, this is your spot. Let's go. I'm excited.
Oh, all right then.
I love the
so-
energy that Corey brings. Don't get me wrong. His offensive production isn't there anymore.
All right, so we're about ready to close this bad boy up.
Closing time.
So we didn't get a chance to talk too much about Gritty this week. We can talk more
Believe me,
about him next week.
We'll get
if
some
we-
more memes in
yeah,
by the next show.
Probably, yeah. Because, I mean, the Flyers
If
will...
you don't know about him yet, just go on the internet.
Please
listen,
treat
we'll-
yourself to that, but don't have your kids around. They might have a nightmare.
I know I had
Yeah,
one.
we'll have game 1 as well.
Yes, we
going
will
on.
next
Yes,
Yes,
week.
we will. So next
now,
week,
is that
yes.
in Vegas or is that
It's in
in
Vegas.
Vegas.
So
Okay,
it's going to be a
it
late
will,
night start.
It will start as we're starting our
Yeah,
show.
it'll
Yeah.
most likely be a 10 o'clock start for them, and that should be interesting because Oh, I'm excited for it. I can't wait till it begins. And we'll get to see how Vegas starts out their second season in the NHL after coming off of the big high.
Yeah.
And we'll actually get a chance to see them raise up that Western Conference Championship banner since it happens to be
Poor
the
guy.
start of
I'll make
the
sure I
season.
hide my eyes for that.
Sorry, I have to watch the Capitals raise
Good.
their Stanley Cup banner.
By the way, though,
That
I
helps.
think we should probably check because if it's on NBC Sports Network, we are definitely going to be seeing that
Yeah,
banner getting
absolutely.
raised, which we probably will. Good chances are. So with that, that'll do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. It is time for last call here. And we thank you all for joining us who stuck around on the YouTube. And we thank everybody who joined us on the other platforms that we are on. Too bad they can't see it. With that being said, Hockey Happy Hour is brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. I am Matt Sudi. That's the Darkwing Brian Daly right over there. This is the Penguin Lover, Michael
up?
Klenkoff.
Deuces.
Behind the board was Mr. Ryan Brodo, doing a great job as always.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. And we will see you all next Thursday for the Flyers season opener right here on A2DRadio.com. Peace, everyone.
Deuces.